we'll get into that too. As a matter of fact, I'll go to the Genovese crime family now because that's a family that I was supposed to be with. My father actually was with them.
He was a made guy with them,
He
correct?
was a made man.
A soldier.
Yep, he was a soldier. He got made late in life. Barney actually is the one who proposed him.
Barney Bellomo.
Yep. And Barney's pretty high up there in the Genovese crime family, very well respected. He proposed my father and got him straightened out. So that was actually supposed to be my family, but they do a lot of white collar crimes, a lot of loan sharking, gambling, but they were mostly from the Manhattan and the Bronx, but they're all over too. I mean, like I said, you got the tentacles all around. But they also, like I said, if you want to do something in the certain areas and certain places in the Bronx, you gotta go. You talk to the right people. You know, you don't walk into somebody's house and and then you just walk and open a refrigerator door. You ask permission first, and that's the way you do. And that's a sign of respect, a show of that you know who's who there, and you go through the proper channels. Okay, and believe me, a lot. Look, they might say, "Okay, yeah, why don't you want to open up a place here? You got something going on?" Okay, they talk about how much money the projection of what maybe they can generate there. Everybody's got their hands in it, and they'll say, "Let's try it for 6 months, a year, and see how it goes." And that's how things get done. But that's the way you're supposed to do it. Instead of just thinking you're going to come over there and take over a crew. That's the reason why a lot of these guys don't do the drug game anymore, because you get all these cartels and stuff and they just want to sell drugs. They don't care who's there. And then, of course, what happens? There's a shootout, somebody gets killed. You don't, in this life, you want to keep off the radar of law enforcement. That's the most important thing. Stay low key if you can. And that's how you survive. That's how you want longevity. You know what I mean? But the Genovese family, Vito Genovese, of course, that's back in the day, how that all started. There was a lot of good guys in that kind of family, a lot of tough guys too, but they were very lucrative, very smart. Probably one of the smartest families around as far as staying low. I think there's like less rats in the Genovese family than there is in any crime family.
When you say white collar crimes, what do you mean by that?
Like white collar crimes, like they get into legitimate businesses. So what it is that's like white collar crimes. In other words, they're not going around doing stick ups really or anything or shaking people down.
More like money laundering and
Yeah,
and stuff like that.
exactly, because they can funnel the money through certain places, certain businesses, and they listen. A lot of these families are going to try to be into legitimate businesses because you can hide a lot of money. You can report a lot of money and stuff like that. Like if you got a lot of cash and you don't have a job and you're living in $1 million home, you really got to explain where the money come from. I was able to do a lot of explaining because I had a lot of people left me money who, was recorded. So that that helped me hide a lot of my money and hide a lot of my assets and why I could drive around and have all the jewelry. You got to keep receipts for. I mean, you can't believe the stuff you got to do to evade the law enforcement, and that's the most important thing.
And who were some of the other major players in the Genovese family?
Well, you got Big Ernie Mascarelli. He's a big major player too. Really, really good guy, tough guy. I mean, he's the type of guy you could talk to. Like Barney, you could talk to. And there, of course, there was Vincent the Chin. He was the big shot who was walking around. Everybody knows he was always walking around like he was crazy.
What was his last name? Gigante, right?
Gigante, yeah, the Chin, yeah. But there's some other people there too. A lot of people in that family, and that's another reason why I kind of went with the Bonanno family later on. I didn't really like a lot of people. Of course, I didn't care for Sally Locker and Hippie and all those guys. They were just jerk offs. They got straightened out. All right, they did a few things, but I didn't like the crew. There was there was some good guys there. Patty Boy Falsetti, he was good. My father, if my father was alive, I probably would have maybe went with that crew, but everybody understands if they've been watching the show, they understand about what happened to my father, so I didn't go there.
So who actually proposed your father?
It was Barney.
Barney Bellomo.
Yeah. My father, don't forget, he got pinched for a drug pinch in the 70s. And then my father went with Barney. As a matter of fact, about 2:30 in the morning, they drove to the BQE and they pulled over on the side of the road. and they went for the talk right there because you could see law enforcement, how you could see if anybody's going to pull behind you. Why is this car pulling behind us? You know what I mean?
Right.
It's the FBI following you. But he was like that to avoid law enforcement. He was pretty cool like that, and he understood what to do. So that's he said. Look, I know I'll tell you exactly what he said to my father. He said, look, he says I know what you did in the past. He said, but that's behind you now. He says we don't do that here and we don't do that here. And the bottom line is you're with us now, and that's how it went, and that's how they proposed my father. Even though I think Sal Larka got pinched for like a truckload of not heroin, I'm sorry, weed, marijuana, pot, whatever you want to call it. So whatever. I don't know how that whole story went down, but
Do as I say and not as I do.
yeah, listen, everybody goes, "Oh, he was doing that." I don't know, you know what I mean? They always pretend like it's that kind of thing.
Right.
But for the most part, I think that I think the Genovese and the Gambino family, those will be the most successful families